Let's take another look at the Ethical Public Discourse project, and in this case, we're going to take a look at what each individual part of the essay is helping us to accomplish. This essay, like lots of other ones, consists of a conceptual tool or framework that will help us to make sense of the ideas that we discuss, and then there are the ideas themselves. In the case of this essay, those ideas will come to us by virtue of the essay being an example support essay at its heart. That means that after we've decided what our position is, the examples that we go to discuss are ones that have been primarily chosen because they help to confirm the position we've chosen. There are 4 readings that everybody will be referring to in the earlier portion of the essay, so that we're all at least beginning in roughly the same place. The first of those readings is Ideals of Public Discourse. This introduces the idea of public discourse, it links public discourse with the idea of the common good, and it also establishes criteria for how we make judgments about whether or not the public discourse and by extension common good are being served by the communication that we're discussing. The next of the readings that we will all be using and referring to is the Facebook is Shaping Public Discourse article. There, we have a reading which establishes the mechanisms by which social media reshapes the information that it acts as a conduit for. We also have a reading that discusses what we need to understand if we are to better appreciate what an effect social media is having on the public discourse. Following those two, the next of the articles that we will, again, I'll be referring to at the beginning of the essay is the Coronavirus Explained article. This is doing something quite important for us, seen as how social media will play a significant role in our essay. In this case, it suggests that YouTube, another social media platform, has caused information that comes from authoritative scientific sources to be confused with and sometimes even replaced by information from sources that are merely likable and not authoritative themselves. Finally, the last of these essays or readings that we'll all be referring to is the one titled "The Pandemic is Pushing Scientists to Rethink How They Read Scientific Research Papers." This reading demonstrates that the pandemic is affecting public discourse, beginning even with the scientists themselves, whose work eventually becomes the focus of public discourse. The pandemic is actually forcing those who read scientific papers to ask the sorts of questions that we thought were unnecessary before, given the scientific publishing process. What all of this results in is the fact that the pandemic is calling into question the very status of scientific facts and, by extension, science itself. This is one of the most profound ways, in fact, that the pandemic is changing the way that public discourse happens and is causing us to, again, question whether or not the public discourse is always happening in service of the common good. After that point, that will be where the supplemental readings come in. Having read and written about the first 4 readings, again, those that were assigned during week 4, now decide what your position is. And your position is in response to the question, is the public discourse having to do with the pandemic serving the common good? Granted, you'll begin this with a simple yes or no, but just that yes or no isn't going to take you very far. You'll need to make sure that you've got a good grasp on what your reasons are. After you've decided on what this position will be, look through the supplemental readings for ones that you can use to support the position that you just took. Then identify what idea from each of the supplemental readings you've chosen will best help you to support your position. Quote and discuss the material from the readings based on what you need for your essay, not based on the reading itself. And I've got an important point there, something to remember. Summary for its own sake is always irrelevant. We're past the point of just writing summaries now. Instead, if we do decide to include some summary of an outside source in what we're writing, that summary is only there to serve our purposes. I've had a couple of people ask me exactly what this building block outline is. Just like I say in the discussion forum where the building block outline assignment is to be done, it is a vastly simplified outline that's just supposed to suggest to us the structure the overall essay will take. But by doing so, it also makes it easy for us to see what the individual parts of the essay will be and decide whether we like the organization as it is or we want to move some things around. In this case, if I were to construct a building block outline of our essay, it would start with a statement of initial argumentative position. In this case, I do not believe that the public discourse surrounding the pandemic has served the common good. After that, I would go to the identification of theoretical framework. In this case, an important theoretical tool or concept from the ideals of public discourse would be the concepts of public discourse, ethical public discourse, the common good, and civility. An important concept from Facebook as shaping public discourse would be the fact that social media can distort information due to how it works. An important concept from Coronavirus Explained is, again, the fact that social media has made it possible for useful information from authoritative sources to be replaced by unproven information from sources who are merely likable. And lastly, an important concept from the pandemic is pushing scientists would be the fact that the influx of coronavirus research has meant that not even scientists can trust science all the time. After that, the building your argument section would work the same way, except that you would be taking statements of main points having to do with the supplemental readings that you choose, rather than the full required readings. This concludes my discussion of the Ethical Public Discourse Project. I hope that this second look at it has proven useful to you. Start thinking about this. I've intentionally given us a little bit more time for this project, so we have the chance to talk it over. You have the chance to ask questions, and hopefully I have the chance to address those. Continue thinking about what it's going to mean for you to put together your building block outline for Sunday night, and please don't hesitate to ask any questions you have to make your own process easier. Take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.